Bryson.
Bryson lights. Bryson, bro.
All right. So, we're talking about what is romantic, what we think of as being traditionally romantic. You are welcome to write this down, but I think these are probably things that you can think of on your own. So, that's not necessary to your understanding. So, I want to know, when we talk about little r romantic, when we think of romance, what do we associate with it? Oh, well, that's a good start, man.
What are you doing?
Cool. Throw them out there.
Love and passion.
Daniel, you're definitely a little R romantic already, so this is just easy for you. All right, women, feel free to also jump in. Did you just say mystery?
Oh, no, I'm saying that. Why?
All right, let's keep going. Again, anything that's associated with romance.
Books.
What?
Books.
Books.
Or roses. Oh, books.
Why?
A la Nicholas Sparks.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not saying that.
Really Nicholas
Wait,
Yo, dog.
I'm recording. Let's keep going. The folks at home want to know.
Put it at 2 times speed so it gets nicer.
Yeah, Bryson.
John had a good one.
John, a good one.
I ain't have any.
John, say it.
Hey.
Yeah, Eddie.
No. Girls, Valentine's Day. Flowers.
Yo.
I can spell it. It'll get up there. Yeah, some of y'all ought to be experts in this, right?
Yeah, Sam. Sam, you should be an expert.
You should actually know these because.
Oh, I don't.
Bro, I know.
I
Doesn't have to be stereotypical either. It can be Ellis' version of Little R Romantic.
What about
long paragraphs?
what?
Text messages.
Long paragraph. Those would be good or bad.
Okay, but I like that, so it's going out. That's funny.
All the time.
This is the only way my husband knows how to text. It's rough.
Wearing makeup.
That's you, Bart.
It's rough. Yeah, what? The dog?
Yes, make up for the boys.
Shake hair.
Make up for the boys.
Clean cuts.
Sing the homies good night.
Kissing the homies good.
Kissing the homies goodnight. Give me one on the cheek, boy. Oh.
I'm ready.
Good night. Good night.
I'm ready on a Monday. Give me some more.
Holding hands. Oh, cat, bro. All right, bro. So, we got making love. Whoa! DC! bro.
Little R Romantic includes a lot. Anything you want Little R Romantic to include. This doesn't feel particularly Ellis as much as it feels stereotypical.
I know. See, what was the other one you said?
I think I'm ready for some from the women. Yeah, that seems fair. That seems fair. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. This is why I often separate us into men and women when I do this. We have very different ideas of this. But, oh, yes.
He's touching the waters out, baby.
Opening
up.
Oh,
dang, son. Oh, I was thinking something else.
Open
the car.
Scratch your window.
Backseat.
Open all doors.
Backseat.
All right, women, show them up a little bit here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, we're gonna get pumped. I felt like a million.
Let's count, they have two.
Dude, they're just freaking getting their thoughts together. They don't even know what they're doing.
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Nothing better than a note.
Science notes.
And a snack.
A snack? How?
A note with a snack? Is there really anything more romantic than that? I don't think so.
Oh, DC.
Wow. Okay, then.
Listening.
Haley, they need so much help.
Lincoln said something. And
What, girl?
ironic what she said.
Listening.
Oh! Love it.
Rumor, take notes, bud. Hey.
Oh, no.
Very romantic, listeners. Like it.
Good morning and good night text.
Oh, yes.
You're right, son. Joe, what did you say about that?
You're good at this. You're good at this. No, it is not.
Oh, what? Yo.
Yeah.
No shot. You
Picnics.
I'm getting up first.
Yeah.
No shot.
No shot.
Sunrise.
I didn't even sleep.
Picnics are not romantic. They're annoying. You've never been on a picnic?
Yeah.
With who? With my
His
family.
sisters.
Oh. Family picnic.
And do the dishes.
Oh.
And the laundry.
Yes, I do the cooking. Laundry.
DC career at the same time.
Handyman.
I'm there for it. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes.
Handyman.
Ooh.
There's two photos, couple photos.
Good with kids. Good with
Oh.
kids.
Yeah. As kids.
You guys have those.
Oh, good with us kids, I swear. Artistic ability. No, that's a guy's one. Wow. Me and Sam.
No. Hear me out.
No, it's something gross. That's men's edition.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Women who have good taste in music.
Oh.
Oh my God.
All right, hear me out on artistic ability, okay? 2 reasons. Okay, so the reason I knew I liked my husband is when I first met him, he quoted a bit of T.S. Eliot, and he had just gotten to college. I'm like, this dude's smart, and he's well read. So that was cool. And the second thing was I knew he liked, so that's when I knew I liked him. I knew he liked me when he drew me into our college's comic. He drew the comic, right? So it put me into it. Artistic abilities, romantic. Yeah, you both are like,
sports.
what? Okay.
Athletic.
What about this?
Okay, and good fashion sense. I ain't trying to look like a clown with my phone. I look like a clown. You look like whatever. DC.
Okay.
John also has something really good to say.
I'm just saying.
I'm sure.
Guys, we're like tied. Come on.
I
Yeah, half a day.
don't know. Are we talking quality or quantity here, right?
Conversation maker.
Oh, okay.
Dude, guys. Can converse.
You should like know.
I have like 8 of those. They can't go up there, so.
You should never just repeat the 8. So just
Narcissistic.
Why can't
they
they?
just more.
Support him.
Oh, Harry.
Nice hair.
Mature.
Support him. Support him.
Okay,
Nice
okay.
eyes. Boy said it first. Nice eyes. That's like the first thing you always hear. Why did you like me? Your eyes are pretty. What? In movies, you always see stuff like that. Oh, your eyes are so beautiful. What do you expect? You're not gonna say, dude, your hair is blonde, baby. I would.
I would.
Yeah, give me 2 more.
Oh, goodness.
Why?
Knowing realistic expectations.
Ooh.
How's this even fair? They're one
Saying yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am.
saying yes, please.
I don't think that's a good trait because I say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am all the time.
I think that goes under our good manners.
Nicknames.
Oh, nice. Good job, Jagger. I was waiting on it.
Yeah, I love homie.
I didn't say anybody did. I just put it up there. Because Jagger's was just as good, right? He says nicknames like homie. I'm like, well, Pookie's about on the same level. All right. I see that we don't have a lot of overlap between our
Oh,
lists.
expensive gifts.
What? Oh, okay.
Expensive gifts. That shows they care.
Oh, back.
Thought I would include both because it sounded like we had both there.
Personal.
Oh.
Y'all like just try as hard. Sauce.
It's pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff.
Oh,
So.
good with pets. Oh,
Oh, like so likes animals?
Like if you like my dog, I would buy it.
Hey, I don't like animals.
She's like, I'll make an exception. Nah, not cat.
How do I lose all my pencils? Who keeps stealing them?
Josh? Oh, they stole one. There's like a
It's
nap.
not working.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time keeping my slightly sarcastic comments back. Likes animals, also likes your other family members.
Oh, shut. You're right. Check me out.
All right.
Oh, when they wear your hoodies. Actually, I don't like that, but a lot of people do. I feel like it's annoying because I like every single hoodie I have.
Hoodie mellow, hoodie mellow, hoodie mellow.
Hoodie Snapchat. Untucked Kyrie. Math no. No, it's Mask LeBron. Yeah. It's Mask Russ. Russ is bad, bro. Get out of here. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Been
Next
in the
week,
league for 10 plus years.
Brick. He's a bricklayer, bro.
Come on.
Nice smelling. Not like Fritos.
Nice treat.
Yeah, or.
I mean, locker rooms smell a lot like Fritos. So maybe not like Fritos.
Not as nice as eat around you.
That's funny. I don't know if I have any room to include that, but I wish I did. It would appear that y'all are pretty well versed on Little R Romantic. I'm pretty impressed. So I'm gonna save this. And
You came up with half of the girls though, so.
I did not.
That's cap.
I was listening. Maybe they were speaking more quietly than you. Doesn't mean that they didn't say them. I did add artistic ability, so that would be 1. And I also said that maybe don't smell like Fritos, but I felt like that was a given, okay? Like it could have gone on either side. All right. Share screen. Okay. So
What is listening?
We're actually going to be moving from little r romantic to big R romantic. And I've got a bit of a shock for you, okay?
It's the same thing.
Oh, the shock is they have nothing in common.
It ain't even close, buddy.
So, little r romantic versus big R romantic, there's a pretty big difference. So, in Schoology and this week on Monday, I've got the characteristics of romanticism. So, little r romantic is long walks on the beach and chocolates and that sort of thing. Capital R romantic is an American artistic movement that is literary, art, and music, right? So it took place from after the Revolution, approximately 1800 to about 1850, so right before the Civil War, okay? Romantics believed in the natural goodness of humans. So the Romantics were reacting against the Puritans, okay? Puritans said that people are born what?
Evil.
Evil. People are born bad or sinful. The Romantics said, nah, we're born good. Like as a blank slate, it's society that makes us the way that we are. So they had an interest in the common man in childhood. The Romantics said, children are innocent, unlike adults. And our natural goodness is hindered by the urban life of civilization. They believed Native Americans were noble, that childhood was good, and that you should be more in touch with your emotions. I suppose they have that in common with little r romantics. They believed in the importance of strong senses, emotions, and feelings. They believed in going with your gut, right? What does your heart tell you as opposed to your head? They said, unlike the Puritans who believed you gained knowledge through paying attention to your world and seeing what was going on, they say actually knowledge comes from within you. You stop, you think about something, and you're inspired, and that's how you learn things. Romantics believed in the awe of nature, the celebration of the individual, and the importance of imagination as a critical authority. So, what I'm going to do before we get in too much deeper, because I've got a PowerPoint tomorrow, we are going to look at a piece of romantic art. You might be familiar with this if you have seen Frozen.
Oh yeah, Anna did that on a swing thingy.
Yeah, this is by David Casper Friedrich. It's called The Swing. So I'm going to get in a little bit closer here so you can kind of see it. And I want you to really look at it top to bottom, okay? I want you to notice what's in the background, what's in the foreground. I want you to notice the colors and what's going on in it. So here's the top of our swing, right?
Very dark inside of where she is.
There's a dude in the back just watching her.
She's being pulled down by society. Because those one people look like they don't
And
want
she
to
kicked the guy.
It doesn't have to be symbolic, but it could be. Check out that. Just kicking that shoe off, not a care in the world. Also, the way people used to push other people on swings is like it was attached to a rope, right?
Yeah.
Though it does make him look a little bit like the puppet master. Then we have some garden implements on the ground and some little weird cherubs and this guy over here who is getting an eyeful of something.
Whoa.
All right. So talk to me about what you notice about this picture.
The light shining on the rope.
Yes, the light is shining on her. She almost looks like she's like a flower herself, or like a rose or something. And sort of that romantic childishness, the willingness to see the world through rose-colored glasses, right? The idea that she is joyful and innocent and excited. I mean, even nature bends itself around her, right? The light shines specifically on her. So that has a lot to do with our capital R romanticism. What else do you notice about this painting? You know, so all of our little cherubs shushing people. Are they all shushing? Just one for sure.
Yeah, they do look scared.
Yeah, they do look nervous about something. She appears to not have a particular care in the world. And swinging is an activity that we associate with kids, right? Kids and innocence and fun. What about the rest of the lighting around the painting? If the light is shining on her, what's going on in the rest of the painting? Yeah, this is a really intensely overgrown forest area, isn't it? Nature is kind of like overgrown in this area, and they're surrounded by the trees. Do you find it a little bit creepy, or do you think it's just like mostly beautiful and kind of just a lush garden scene?
I think it was fine. I think it was fine.
I always get both. Some people are like, that's freaky, and some people are like, oh no.
What's
I mean-
like them? Or what did they find creepy?
The dark background, like that looks like it's encroaching, and this guy looking like a puppet master in the background. Maybe. I'm not saying there's anything sinister. I don't necessarily think there is. What about this dude? What's going on with him?
It's weird that the light is on.
He does totally look like he got smacked by that shoe that was coming off. And she doesn't seem too concerned about it. Look at that smirk. Should have gotten out of the way.
Yeah, she's just keeping it together there.
So he's got his hat there. Like he's like, whoa, hold up. Don't kick me. And she's like, then move. All of these flowers, so many flowers. And you notice there's a rake on the ground, as well as a few other garden implements. This is actually symbolic. I don't know if you know this, but in the early 19th century, the word rake was associated with men in the same way the word player would be now.
So you're a rake.
You're a rake.
Yeah, it's a player.
Yeah. If you're a rake, you're a little bit of a playboy, a little bit of a
John's a rake.
I know Rake.
a womanizer, if you will.
Yep, that's
So
John.
so we have a rake here that's standing right next to this particular guy. And we can totally get that, can't we? At least it seems that there might be a flirtation of sorts. What do you think of the cherubs? I mean, it's possible they symbolize childishness or childhood, if you want, which is why these ones are scared of the adults of the scene. I think the shushing angels, though, is another kind of trope of that century, right? I think a lot of statues at that time would have done that. So yeah, let's think about this then in terms of big R romanticism. This is a big R romantic painting. Interest in the common man in childhood. We have this childlike activity, right? That's meant to be fun. Strong senses, emotions, and feelings. We have joy, we have warning, awe of nature. Those trees are positively overgrown and everywhere. It's a very lush scene. You can't even hardly see the sky through the trees. Celebration of the individual. You said it looked like there was a spotlight on her, essentially. And that really shows our celebration of her, as well as the importance of imagination. There's a lot that we can imagine in this scene that might have been going on. Wyatt said she might have kicked him with her shoe while she was kicking that shoe off. So there's a lot to do with imagination in this scene. I'm going to show you a little bit of an example of capital R romantic music, if I can find it. Brahms was a very popular, Johannes Brahms was a very popular capital R romantic composer. And this is Liebeslieder Walzer, which he was German, in case you hadn't figured that part out. But romanticism actually began in Germany in the mid to late 1700s. The actual movement itself. And you'll see that it's lighthearted, it's fun, it's not intense like other classical music like Mozart. We think da 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 da, or is that Beethoven's Ninth? Yeah.
Beethoven.
Well, in any case, capital R romantic as opposed to really like intense and serious classical music. So I'll go ahead and get it from the beginning, see if I can. See how it's really light, and it's meant to be danced to. These are tenors and basses. We'll get some women's voices in a second here. It says, wistful eyes take heart, despair not. When the stars are bright, I'll meet thee. When they're bright, I'll meet thee. So you see that it's not necessarily taking itself very seriously. This would have been the Lady Gaga of its time. This would have been the popular music, not the stuff that you're supposed to go and watch at the opera house in fancy outfits. This is the stuff that you play at home and jam to, as some of you were jamming earlier. So yeah, romantic music then. Let's look briefly then at romantic poetry.
We know you're just taking notes right now.
So we've got some romantic art, right? We've got a little bit of romantic music. Romantic poetry really primarily came from England, right? It didn't start in America. And even though we're going to be talking American literature, you should know that romanticism did not begin in America. It came to America, and like most things after they come here, changed, right? Shifted a bit. So here is William Wordsworth, I wandered lonely as a cloud. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high o'er vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of yellow or golden daffodils, beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. Continuous as the stars that shine and twinkle on the Milky Way, they stretched in never-ending line along the margin of the bay. 10,000 saw I at a glance, tossing their heads in sprightly dance. The waves beside them danced, but they outdid the sparkling waves in glee. A poet could not be but gay in such a jocund company. I gazed and gazed, but little thought what wealth the show to me had brought. For oft when on my couch I lie, in vacant or in pensive mood, they flash upon that inward eye, which is the bliss of solitude. And then my heart with pleasure fills, and dances with the daffodils. Sorry, I got something in my eye. The poem is just so beautiful. I'm not actually choking. All right. So this is an example of romantic poetry, not because it actually has anything to do with romance whatsoever, but because it fits that capital R romantic. First of all, our poem's called I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. We've got to focus on the individual, right? He's by himself out in nature. Isn't that lovely? I mean, isn't that neat? So he wandered lonely as a cloud. He compares himself to a cloud, and then he sees the daffodils. Look at that joy in nature, that excitement. They're beautiful, and he personifies them like he would people. And they inspire him, right? Because when he's at home, not thinking too deeply, he remembers the daffodils. And then he's happy again. The thing about romantics is this. They liked things to be fairly simple, right? You look at a flower, the flower's pretty. You're inspired to write a poem about the pretty flower. Romantics didn't want you to think too deeply, right? That would ruin it. Overthinking things, overanalyzing them, messes them up. The romantic says, just enjoy the flower, right? The Puritan would say, God made this flower. We should think about God's mighty works in this flower as we would in our own lives. The romantic would say, bruh, it's just a flower and it's very pretty. The scientist would say, look at the structure of this flower, the fact that it can make its own food. It's very impressive. It even has its own Latin name. And the romantic would say, bruh, it's pretty. Just enjoy it. And so you might appreciate the romantics in that way, that they tried to take things for what they were and tried to see the beauty in their everyday lives, as opposed to the Puritans, who kind of saw a lot of doom and gloom. Tomorrow, we'll go into romanticism a little more deeply. I've got a PowerPoint for you. But for the end of today, we'll just kind of chill for a second on our basic knowledge of romanticism.